Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. Charles Tendell is back with us. He's running a little late because he's having internet problems, but we were worried about his wife, Dee, but she was okay. The car was in an accident without her being in it. I'll let him explain that to you. And so everything's fine there. And it's Friday, so we've got our show reminder winner of the week going to be announced. And, of course, we have author Michael Miller and Computer America correspondent Michael Miller is here with us now. And we're going to be starting in about 2 minutes. If Charles doesn't make it back in time, we'll start the show without him, and then he'll join us as we're in progress. He was at his office, and evidently he's having internet problems. The cable company is working on it.
2 minutes until showtime.
And so he finally gave up, and so he's heading back home. Hopefully he won't have internet problems over there, and he'll join us. So sit back, relax, and we'll get started momentarily. Okay.
One minute until showtime.
Okay, stand by.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America's heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman. My co-host, Charles Tendell, will be with us here momentarily. You know, just one thing after another. The technology got... by the way, his wife, Dee, was okay. He thought she was in a car accident, but fortunately, she was not in the car at the time. Just somebody hit the parked car. Go figure that one out. But she's perfectly well. And so tonight, he's in his office, and his internet goes down, where he normally does the show from. And he went outside, and evidently the Comcast cable guy was working on the node that was servicing the area, and he figured he would hang out there, and he was pretty confident it would come back. Well, guess what? It didn't come back. So now he is driving his way back to his home, where he's hopefully on a different node, and he'll join us in the Computer America chat room. And hopefully that will. Anyway, so that's the story with Charles. Hopefully we'll have him here. And, of course, it's Friday! Yes, it's Friday. We made it another week. Sort of. We made it, but yeah, we did make it. And the Computer America chat room is filling up. Let me bring my guest on and kind of give him that, and then I'll tell you all the ways you can communicate with us, and if you have comments or questions. Our guest tonight is author Michael Miller. He's one of our Computer America regular correspondents. He's here always on the last Friday of the month. Where did July go? Wow. Mike is a proven and successful nonfiction writer on a variety of technical, business, and lifestyle-related topics. He has written more than 150 books in the last 2 decades that have collectively sold more than 1 million copies. His best-selling books include The Ultimate Web Marketing Guide, YouTube for Business, and Facebook for Grown-Ups from Cube Publishing. Mike has established a reputation for being able to explain difficult concepts to everyday readers in easy-to-understand language. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
Hello, Craig. I am doing fine. And how are you this fine evening?
Well, we're doing okay so far. We're without co-host, but hopefully he will be with us here momentarily. Oh, did you just tag me on Facebook? Evidently, yeah. Yeah, you did. Okay, cool.
Proving that I can type and talk at the same time.
Yeah, that's one of the talents you need, I think, to be a host or co-host or a guest. Because we have so many things going on. Just to give you the point, let's tell. We're going to be kind of all over the road. We have some great topics tonight to talk about. By the way, tonight, of course, the debut of Lucy, Luc Besson's film. And if you're a Luc Besson fan, you know him from The Fifth Element. And anyway, Lucy premieres tonight. I'll probably go. I will definitely see it this weekend, maybe on a Sunday during a matinee. And I have been looking forward to that. And also, Hercules is out too. And I'm not into Hercules kind of movies, but The Rock is in it, Dwayne Johnson. I've seen the previews. It looks pretty good, so I probably will see that one as well, hopefully this weekend too.
Okay, let me throw something out there to the audience. See if anybody of a certain age can remember a very obscure cartoon called The Mighty Hercules. Not the Disney cartoon, but actually a cartoon series back in had to be early mid-60s or so.
I remember.
Had a theme song by a guy named Johnny Nash. I remember, and he got his powers by putting a ring on his finger and jumping down from Mount Olympus, and it had very limited, very poor animation on it.
I remember that cartoon. It was right there, like another one called I'll run it by you. Do you remember Tom Terrific? He was a little,
Yeah.
Tom Terrific. It was along that quality of animation, but those are the cartoons back then. I remember the Hercules.
Yeah, there must have been some syndication package or something that syndicated them to the fourth level stations in every market. I mean, these weren't on the ABC station; they were on the independent station where I lived. And I mean, I remember it was such limited animation but actually good drawings. Actually, the drawing of Herc looked like. Looked like it was drawn by the same guy who was drawing Superman at the same time. It looked like Kurt Swan draw. I know it wasn't Kurt Swan, but it kind of had that feel to it, but with very poor animation.
Well, but what did we have to compare it with back those days? I think we were just happy to have something. It was we didn't really have to compare it with the animation techniques that they use today.
Well, it was better than another blast from class, Clutch Cargo. Anybody remember Clutch Cargo?
Oh, gee.
Clutch Cargo had but limited animation would be putting it mildly. I think it had no animation. But the weird thing here is to make the mouths move. They actually superimposed an actual mouth over the drawing. So it's something I think Conan O'Brien's done in recent years on his show, kind of as a joke thing. But they did it seriously back then. Clutch Cargo and his pal Skipper and his dog Paddlefoot, I believe is what that one was. Oh, it was horrible. But I watched him every day.
Run along with Captain Kangaroo. Exactly. Anyhow, if you have a comment or suggestion about anything we're going to be talking about on tonight's show, we certainly invite your phone calls. 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room, our IRC chat room that we have up, because the add-on chat room, we're just going to wait till they go to the HTML version because I hate Java and we got tired of it. It kept hanging. So we now have an IRC chat room, and just click the chat button / video page button right there and just put in a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the connect button, and your browser or your Chatzilla client, any of them will work. We'll move you into the Computer America chat room, where Michael is there as well. He's there as we have him set up as the guest or voice. I don't know why they just call it guest. They call it voice, and I don't know why they pick that. Here, let me give you the actual name. It's called. It says give them voice status. I don't know why. So there it is. So now you have voice status. That means you're the guest. Okay, I see you have a YouTube video of the Mighty Hercules. Okay.
Okay, and here is the marvelous theme song from the Mighty Hercules. Can you hear this?
Nope. No, I can't hear it.
Can't hear it? Oh well, go to YouTube.
So that's it. Now also, you can watch the Computer America show. You not only listen to it, but you can actually watch it on our live Computer America video streaming page, which is on the same page as the chat room. And that's brought to you, the live streaming video is brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988, now celebrating its 25th anniversary. Visit them at www.macsales.com for any of your PC or Mac needs. Macsales.com. They've got some incredible deals going on. They're actually going to be with us here on Monday. You can get legacy memory for your legacy Macs. You can get portable battery replacement back to 1998. They have the installation videos. They even have their own YouTube channel, so you can watch all of these things. Any order over $49, you get free ground shipping, which means about 80% of the country, you get it in 2 days. So it's very, very fast. Great bargains. Whether you have PC, Mac, you have Xbox One, PlayStation 4. They have hard drives for your PlayStation 4. 1 terabyte hybrid drive for your PlayStation 4, $115, and that they give you a flash memory stick. They even give you the screwdriver to put the thing in. I mean, they give you everything. Plus, of course, the installation video, so it makes it real simple to watch. Check out all the great deals and things that they have over at www.macsales.com. You're going to be happy that you went there. Really. Great stuff. Okay, so that's the chat room. That's our video. That's the phone number to call, 347-884-8881. And Charles Tendell is still not here. So what we're going to do is just get started. And again, Mike always gives us some topics that he wants to talk about, or he makes suggestions, and there's some very good ones. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention one more thing. It's Friday. That means we're going to have a show reminder winner of the week. That's right. Some lucky person's going to win a really nice touchpad T650 from Logitech, glass surface, that is $80. Some person's going to win that tonight. We'll probably announce that name sometime during the second part of the show. Of course, we also have our news tip bulletin. We have 2 of them from Marty Winston, one in the first hour, one in the second hour. So we're going to have that. And we have a new 2 bulletins every Monday. We get 2 new ones. So he always has interesting things to talk about. So Marty Winston, editor of the News Tips Bulletin, we'll have 2 of those tonight as well. So what I think we'll do is, Mike, is that we'll just start talking about it, and if and when Charles pops in, we'll say, "Hey, Ma," and we'll go from there. Okay. So Windows updates. I know. Let's just get it out in front. You hate Windows 8. And you've said so pretty much, I mean, you have all the things that they forced you into when it first came out with the Metro interface, slowly coming around to your way of thinking with their 8.1 and then their Service Pack 1. The start menu seems to be reappearing. We have rumors that Windows 9 is going to be more like Windows 7. But evidently they're issuing a Service Pack 2, and they finally said that Service Pack 2 is coming in August. Speculation? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
No, I'm not. Now you can hear me. It's red on, blue on, I don't know. I get confused easily. Actually, they're not calling it Service Packs. They're calling it Update 1 and Update 2, but it's really what we used to call the Service Packs. They're now calling Update. And in Update 1, which came out not that long ago, wasn't it only like 4 or 5 months ago? It wasn't that long ago. They made some changes to make some of the Metro features, the modern features, a little bit more mouseable, usable with a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what's coming out in Update 2, which is probably going to ship around, it looks like August 12th is when everybody will get their updates. Actually, probably not much of anything is going to be in Update 2. It almost looks more like a bug fix than anything else. Microsoft isn't even talking it up much. So I think Update 2 is going to be a non-event. Some of the things that they were talking about that might have been an Update 2 looks like they're holding off, and they're going to put in the next full release of Windows, which will be Windows 9. They're calling it, the code name is Threshold, and it looks like Threshold Windows 9 is going to be coming out sometime in 2015. They're saying sometime mid-year. Who knows what that means? But that'll be the Windows that we're waiting for, because this is in Windows 9 is where we're going to see the return, actually the debut of a new start menu. From the screenshots we've seen, they're out there on the web. Just Google Windows 9 start menu and you'll find it. Mm-hmm. The screenshots, it looks like it's kind of half old start menu and half kind of a condensed start screen. On Windows 8 you have these live tiles and stuff on the start screen, which is nice if you're using a tablet, but who is with Windows? But so it looks like they've kind of mashed the two together. So you get all the nice text-based menus of the normal start menu, but then you can kind of click over to the side and it'll expand, and then you see the tiles of all the modern apps on the start screen right there on this new start menu. So it looks like an interesting approach to it, to kind of make a better start menu than what we saw before, but with all the functionality of the old start menu.
Okay. And because you're right, it splits it in half. It looks like they're trying to please both audiences.
Yeah, and what they're trying to please multiple audiences. I mean, for one thing, there are actually some very nice modern apps that the developers are shipping for Windows 8. But if you use the desktop, you don't give a rat's butt about. You don't care about them because you're using the desktop. You're not using the modern interface. Mm-hmm. But some of these are kind of nice apps. So what they kind of want to do in Windows 9 is give the desktop users access to these apps. So there's actually two things going on. The first thing is they're going to give you access to these apps from the new start menu. All right. The second thing is they're going to make all these full screen apps windowed for the desktop. So if you want to run the Windows 9 modern weather app, let's say, you don't have to go into the stupid modern interface and go full screen and waste all your screen real estate. You can actually run that app in a window in the desktop, just like a regular old-fashioned app. So it's giving all the desktop users, of which that's 99.9% of Windows users, access to some of the few cool stuff that's been there in Windows 8.
All right, so it's obviously Microsoft is coming around to your thinking, because obviously you hated Windows 8 basically because it just forced you to. They took away the start menu. You couldn't use the desktop. You had to boot into the Metro. I mean, you had a whole shopping list of things what you hated about it, and then slowly they seem to be coming. And I say you are obviously your opinion.
Yeah, it's not me. Normally I'm an outlier. I'm kind of by myself. I'm the lone writer, and everybody else is doing their thing. In this case, I'm with the crowd. Nobody liked Windows 8. I take it back. There's 2 or 3 people who seem to post on every message forum about Windows 8. So, oh, but it's great, wonderful. How come you people can't get used to it? And the reason is because nobody wants to get used to it. We want to use the desktop. That's what we've been using. Don't make us change. When there's no good reason to change. I mean, change is fine if there's a good reason for it, but not in this case. I mean, people, when you use Windows, you go to the desktop, you start up Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or your web browser or whatnot, and that's what you do. All this other, the modern stuff was really designed for tablet use. Microsoft wanted to get into the tablet business. They're scared to death of Apple, as they should be, and they wanted to adapt their operating system to the tablet. Unfortunately, in doing that, they tried to drag along the other 99.9% of their user base into the tablet world when they didn't have tablets and didn't have touch screens. So that was just a dumb thing they did. Now they've realized the dumbness. They fired a lot of people. They got a new CEO. They got a new guy in charge of the Windows division. They got all new staff. They're moving forward on it. Unfortunately, it's going to be 2 years since Windows 8 was released, at least, if not 3 years. That it takes them to get back to what they had before. You know, they made a tremendous blunder. This was the new Coke of tech era blunders here. I mean, it made Windows, you know, whatever came before Windows 7, Windows Vista, made Windows Vista look like a walk in the park. This was horrible. A mistake which, you know, came close to tanking the entire PC industry. I mean, PC sales took a downturn because people didn't want to upgrade to a new PC that was running this Windows 8 thing. So it's taken them a couple years to fix that horrendous blunder. Now, the way Microsoft works is they make horrendous blunders and then they fix them, and their fix is generally pretty good. So I'm anticipating Windows 9 will be well received. I'm anticipating that they will have not just fixed their mistake, but learned from it and move forward with some new interesting things like this new start menu kind of looks like.
I liked your new Coke analogy because you know, they went out and they told, oh, this is going to be the new Coke and everything, and it almost tanked the company. People said, I want my Coke. You know, how can you take that away from me? And, I mean, you know, especially with something like the taste of Coca-Cola, if you mess with it, why did you even mess? I understand Windows, they have to make change. You know, but with Coke, why did you mess with the formula? Just leave it alone. You know?
Well, here's what I mean. This is classic marketing. People study new Coke in business schools to get their MBAs. They will study Windows 8 in business schools too, and it's really the same kind of thinking that led to the mistake. They weren't looking at the customer; they were looking at the competition. And they let the competition drive a decision. In the case of Coke, what was happening at the time, I mean, this was back in the early 80s, right? Early, mid-80s, if I recall.
Yeah.
And what was going on is Pepsi had been running a series of commercials, which was the Pepsi Taste Test, the Pepsi Taste Challenge, whatever they called it, where they blindfolded somebody and put 2 Dixie cups full of brown, sugary liquids in front of them. And, you know, almost to a person, the blind taste testers in the commercials chose Pepsi. They liked from a blind taste test, these people liked Pepsi better. So the brainheads there at Coke said, oh my God, that means we have an inferior product. Nobody likes our product anymore. We have to change it. Now, they didn't talk to their customers. They didn't see why customers liked their product or didn't like their product or what they liked about it or what they didn't like. They didn't talk to the customer at all, which is the biggest marketing no-no you can do. Marketing should be all about connecting with the customer. Instead, they focused on the competitor, what the competitor was doing in their advertising, and therefore changed their entire formula to come up with something that was a little sweeter, that was a little more Pepsi-like. If you ever tasted New Coke tasted a little bit kind of like a blend between Diet Coke and Pepsi. You know, kind
you can't get it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't Coke. It tasted a little bit.
You can't get it anymore, right? You can't buy a new Coke.
Oh, no. They kept it on the market for a couple of years, but they brought it out, again, without any consideration of their existing customer base, which is huge. I mean, Coke users, huge. Not Coke users, but Coke drinkers.
Coca-Cola.
Coke users is a totally different market, which is in its own way. And I don't know anything about New Coke in that regards. But back in the 80s, again, Coca-Cola did not even talk to their customers about it. They just paid attention to their competition and their moves and came out and reformulated it.
Didn't they reason? You know, they're only showing the people who like the Pepsi, the ones. I mean, the people who picked the Coke in those commercials, they purposely didn't show them. They only.
Yeah, I doubt if they made the cut.
Exactly. I mean,
it's just the most boneheaded marketing thing you could imagine. That's why we study it in business schools today, because it really was bad. Now, to their credit, Microsoft, Coca-Cola very quickly recognized what a mistake. I mean, people were picketing in the streets. I think they had the peasants with the torches and the tar and the feather and everything going after them because we want our Coke. And people were hoarding the original Coke because they didn't want to go to the new Coke. I mean, and so very, very quickly, Coca-Cola said, "Oh, we screwed up. We're bringing back classic Coke."
Classic.
They kept the two of them on the market side by side for a while. You had New Coke and Classic Coke, and of course nobody bought the New Coke, so after a couple of years it just faded away into oblivion. Microsoft, same deal. They weren't talking to their customers. They weren't talking to the billion or so people who use Windows right now. They were looking at Apple. And they were looking at tablets, and they were saying, we got to do something there, and they moved straight into that without even thinking, saying, hey, you guys, you billion or so people who are using Windows, what do you think about this? What do you need? What do you want? Do you like this? Do you not like it? They didn't do that. Again, classic no-no, marketing 101 blunder. And they come out with this Windows 9 or Windows 8 thing, which again is kind of like Apple's iOS, right? I mean, that's what it was designed for. Maybe even better, certainly different with the tiles and stuff. And And whether it was good or bad on its own right is irrelevant, because it completely alienated the billion or so people who were. I mean, that's not a small number of people. We're talking about a billion people using Windows here, who didn't want it changed. They want classic Windows, not new Windows. And again, Microsoft over time has listened to those people. They axed the people who made the dumb mistake, and they're going to be fixing it. But again, it's the same thing that Coca-Cola did, Microsoft did. They looked strictly at the competition and what was happening, and not at their customer base.
No, do you think they're going to emulate what Coke did? In other words, for a while, Windows 9 will have the Metro and everything, and then eventually, when Windows 10 come around, it'll be gone, and it'll just be back to the desktop, and then.
Well, it might, because actually, if you think about it, by windowing the Metro apps, that is kind of really, almost castrating, the Windows 8 stuff, because saying, you don't have to run these full screen, you don't need a touch screen anymore. That kind of negates everything they said that was an advantage to Windows 8. The thing is, I guess the question is will there be a need for the Metro or modern interface and the full screen apps and all that? That is, will there be a demand for Windows on tablets? I mean, right now there's only one moderately successful Windows tablet, and that is Microsoft's own Surface. And I think calling it successful is really stretching the definition of that word. It is certainly more successful than some of the competitors' Windows tablets. Competitors who are saying, yeah, we're not even going to make any more of these things because nobody's buying them. So whether Surface will be around a year or 2 or 3 from now, I wouldn't place big bets on that. It's not a success in the marketplace. Microsoft thinks they got to get into the tablet market, they got to do this, they got to do that. Well, I got to tell you, the tablet market's starting to shrink right now. It looks like the tablet market has kind of reached its peak, and Microsoft is still worried about it. And I don't know, or maybe they're not. Maybe under the new regime, they're not that interested. I mean, the latest mantra from the new CEO is, we are all about productivity. We're not saying that we're a hardware and a devices company. We're saying we're about productivity, which is really what Microsoft has been about for the past 20 years or so. So, they may be turning back around, and will jettison some of these, side excursions, which have been at best a distraction for them.
Do you was there any after stories about, for the people from Coke who did the new Coke, where are they today, or what, when they got fired? I mean, in that same light, I mean, do we hear anything from the people? Because remember, the people at Microsoft who wanted to go Windows 8 said, you're going to do it our way, and that's it. You're going to like it, remember, and you can do it. And now they're all fired. And where are they now? I mean,
I don't know. That's an interesting question, and certainly worth looking up. If I were in business school right now, they would probably tell you about that, I would think. But it's the kind of mistake that you would expect, a rookie, some 2 years out of college marketing grad to make. You wouldn't expect experienced marketing people to make, although obviously experienced marketing people did make that, did create that problem for them. So, I don't know whether they kept them around or not. In big corporations, it's kind of hard to tell how they deal with their mistakes.
I like to see their resume. Well, worked at Microsoft until Windows 8 came out. And I was so responsible for being in Windows 8. I mean, do they boast about it, or they just basically just skip those years?
Well, at Microsoft, it kind of, I guess, it varies on the regime. You remember Microsoft Bob? Back in the late 80s, early 90s, was it? Maybe mid 90s, yeah.
Bob with 1 O.
Yeah, which was supposed to be, I don't know what Bob was supposed to be, really. He was supposed to make Windows easier or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Bob was the brainchild of a lady named, who became Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates. That before she became Bill's wife, they were just dating at the time, that was her brainchild. So obviously that failure didn't hurt her too much, at least personally. Who knows?
I remember Clippy.
Oh my! The little paperclip annoying help character. Yes.
Help character too, but at least I mean, you could make Clippy go away, whereas with Bob.
Well, you didn't have to make Bob go away because nobody bought him. So. But Microsoft, actually, a lot of tech companies, Microsoft is not alone in this. You can say the same thing about Google. You could maybe even say the same thing about Apple, is that they really are not very good at marketing. in the case of Google, they despise marketing. They openly they deride marketing. They think marketing is evil. The Google mantra is, if we build it, they will come. We're going to build this wonderful product, whatever it is, Google spreadsheets or whatever, and it's just going to be so good we don't even have to tell anybody about it. People will be so amazed and astounded by its technical expertise that they will just flock to it. Which is fine if they ever hear about it. Google so much abhors marketing that they never even tell people about half the things they've done in their history. But and Microsoft is kind of the same way. I mean, Microsoft has become a big, powerful, influential company, but they really don't market that well. They don't do it over time. They have not done a good job of listening to their customers on anything. I mean, Windows 8 is like the most blatant example of it, but they're not that good at it. For that matter, Apple isn't either. What Apple had going for them is one guy, Steve Jobs, who just had the right touch. He had his pulse on, his finger had the pulse on things. Because Steve Jobs didn't go out and do focus groups and marketing surveys and things like that. He just said, "Hey, here's how it's going to be. This is the way it should be. Do it my way." And it just so happened that his way was right. I mean, that doesn't. It kind of goes against everything they teach in business school. But if you got the touch, you can go against it all. You can kind of break the rules if you're that one guy. Who has such a touch, and that's what Steve Jobs had. Now in the post-Jobs era, I'm not sure we're seeing I don't think we're seeing brilliant marketing from Apple's standpoint at all at this point in time. You're not going to duplicate Steve Jobs, and if they really don't have a consumer-oriented culture, which is really what marketing is, it's really being focused on the consumer. If you don't have a consumer-focused culture, in the long run, you're going to fail. I mean, you can have the most brilliant technology, you can come up with the niftiest, snazziest stuff, but if it's not anything that the consumer wants, you're not going to sell any of it.
Yeah.
In the case of Apple, Steve Jobs just knew innately what the consumer wanted, even before the consumer knew they wanted it. All right, but in the case of Microsoft doesn't have a frickin' clue as what the consumer wants. And in the case of Windows 8, kind of showed that they don't care what the consumer wants, which is even worse. When you have an open disdain for your customer base, that just it's going to be hard for Microsoft to ever overcome that in the long run. And because they just basically said, we don't care what our customers want, we don't care what our consumers want. And as a consumer of Microsoft, as one of the 1 billion people out there, that annoys the hell out of me. If you don't care what I want, why do I want to spend my money with you? Give me another alternative in the future, and I will take that alternative. That's what happens.
All right. Well, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. Charles Tendell is home, and he's waiting. Evidently, he doesn't have internet access, so I don't know. It just might be me and Mike Miller for both hours. But you listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Lots more coming up. Stay tuned for more Computer America.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Oh, hello. This is Marty Winston for Computer America with a news tips bulletin review of the Hubbit Sync and Charge Station. Now imagine the bottom slice of a black pyramid, 17 centimeters square at the base, 3.5 centimeters tall, with a shiny flat black top. It's all plastic. The Hubbit Sync and Charge Station is a USB hub that has some cool things going on, but is ultimately disappointing. There's a USB-A port along the bottom on each of the 4 sides, and just above them, modules plug in with the retractable cords to a variety of connectors, an Apple 30 pin, a mini USB, micro USB, lightning connector. You can add 5 other modules sold separately, including wireless charging, Bluetooth, an SD card reader, more. When we removed its top, we see the 3x3 array of places for modules to go, but don't have a clue about how their connectors are supposed to be accessible through the lid. The disappointing element here is not that, but that even when you include the 900 milliamp upstream power feed that comes from a USB 3 port, there's only 4.9 amps total available here, meaning the 6th thing you plug in puts everything in danger of being power starved. What we're left with is a USB hub that's bigger than others, facilities that aren't universally usable, and a bad power strategy. Bottom line, the Hubbit Sync and Charge Station puts a lot of USB 3 choices in one place. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America show here on the Blog Talk Radio Network and the Boost Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network. I just got off the phone with Charles Tendell, and he's basically sitting in front of his modem, waiting for them to connect. Evidently, his office and his home are sharing the same node. And normally, he says when it goes down in his office, he can go home and he can get internet access. But evidently, tonight doesn't seem to be the case. But he did talk to the technician. He said within the hour. So he's standing by, and hopefully we'll have him back on. In the meantime, we have author Michael Miller here with us, and we're talking about Windows 8 and its direction and the mistake that Microsoft went with Windows 8, and it looks like everything's going to be finally corrected when Windows 9 comes back. And we've been analogous to the new Coke and classic Coke, and what happened with Coca-Cola, so what happened with Microsoft, and where are these people now? The ones that came up with the new Coke, where are they? And also the people who came up with Windows 8. Well, if we were to go up and said to them, did you make a mistake with Windows 8? What do you think their answer would be? No, we were right and they were wrong, or do you think they admit? So yeah, we messed up. I mean, what if you were Windows 8? What do you think? What do you think they would say?
It depends on who you talk to at Microsoft. From what I understand, there were actually 2 warring factions, even within the Windows division in Microsoft, and certainly between Windows and the other divisions. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people really betting against and cheering against Windows 8 who really thought it was a bad decision. And then there were people who thought it was a great decision. This is the way to go. We've seen the light. Everybody needs to use a computer this way. Well, we all know that's wrong. You can't force people to do something they don't want to do. So I'm sure that those true believers, if there are any of them left at Microsoft, still are true believers that this is the way it should have been. And if people don't like it, then they just don't get it. There's something wrong with them. This is kind of the mentality here, is that, no, this is the right way to do it. And if people don't understand it, well, they just don't like new stuff, or they're too dumb to learn it, or whatever. You hear those kind of comments. And of course, that's all wrong. People aren't too dumb to learn it. People aren't, afraid to change. People accept change all the time. It's just this wasn't a good change. It wasn't a change that benefited anybody. Now, one thing that Microsoft, this concept of one operating system across all devices, well, that's just a dumb idea, because your phone is different from your desktop computer, which is different from your tablet. Apple knows that. They don't try and force, the phone interface on, on a Mac computer or vice versa. They know that different devices have different pluses and minuses. But so that's a bad idea, the one interface to suit everybody for every device. However, the ability for application developers to write one set of code and have it run on every device. That's another thing. We don't want to forget that Microsoft, yes, they're serving the consumer base, the people who are using their products, but they're also serving the developer base who develop programs for their products. And developers, do you want to write one program for Windows Phone, another program for tablets, another program for desktop? No, you don't. If you're a developer, you don't want to do that. In fact, given the small share, let's say, that Windows Phone has, they're not even going to develop apps for Windows Phone. So if Microsoft can deliver them a platform where they write once and deliver it across all these different devices, that really benefits the application community, the developer community.
Well, didn't Apple do that with Yosemite? It's the Mac operating system, but it works with your iPhone. In other words, notifications not on your iPhone, but they appear. You can take the call that's coming on your iPhone and now take it on your Mac, or switch it from your Mac to your. So they're making them. Although they might have different interfaces, they're making them compatible with each other.
Right, and I think that's the goal with Microsoft too. In fact, that's what I'm hearing is going to be another benefit to the development community in Windows 9, is that if they don't quite hit it, they're going to be very, very close to having a write once across all device environment for developers. And for developers, that's great. That also means Microsoft's going to get more apps. If a developer can just write one app and have it on the phone and have it on the tablet and have it on the desktop, they're going to attract more development than they did, let's say, with Windows 8, where people develop, in some cases, some very good Windows 8 apps that nobody knows about and nobody uses. If Microsoft, so they've got some unhappy developers on their hands as well. So if Microsoft makes the Windows 9 environment more appealing for developers and more profitable for developers, well, I think they're going to win they could win some of those people back also.
Okay, so you would agree then that what Apple is doing, where it's making it with one device, it's making it compatible or workable or interusable with all these different devices, and not without forcing, let's say, iOS 8, and running iOS 8 on your Mac screen now, because you're running OS 10, but OS 10 will now communicate with iOS 8 devices and tablets and everything, and make them interactive. So to me, I think that's kind of the best of all worlds, because now everything works with each other. All the information from one is completely accessible by another. You can see, if I'm on my phone, I sit down to my computer, so just a moment I can just put my phone down in the dock and just transfer the call to my computer, or I'm speaking to someone, on the computer, and I can just transfer it to the phone. Isn't that really the way to go?
Yeah, from a user's perspective, you want the same content, whether you're using your phone or your tablet or your computer, right? It's just like when you're talking about websites and mobile websites versus desktop websites, that you want, what is the phrase that developers use? It isn't that you develop a separate mobile website, it's that, your normal website code detects what type of device a person's using and kind of rearranges the page to suit that device. And that's the ultimate thing. As the end user, you just want the content, and obviously you want the content to be readable on the device you're getting. As a developer, you don't want to have to code something 3 different times for 3 different devices. You want to code it once and have it delivered however it needs to be delivered. So, both the consumer and developers want the same thing here. So it's, using the technology and the protocols in the middle to get there.
Yeah. Okay. Well. So where do we go? Oh, Charles Tendell just came into the chat room. That's encouraging.
He may be on a dial-up modem now. I don't know.
So, although maybe I don't know. Maybe he's accessing a chat room with his phone. It's IRC Mobile.
There you go. I didn't even know IRC was still. IRC dates back from the early '90s. The dawn of the internet is good old Internet Relay Chat is what it stands for.
Exactly. But it works, and you're not hindered by Java. I hate Java so much because it just kept messing up. It kept messing up. My whole system would hang. Or at least with OS 10, the whole system doesn't go down, but the program doesn't. You have to relaunch the program, and it's just bad. And they keep doing these updates, and when they do an update, they fix one thing and 3 other things get broken. It's just. And I finally said to the developer of Add-on Chat, I said, Chris, come on, Chris Dewars, the creator of it. I said, you've got to are you working on anything like an HTML5? And he said, yes, we're working on an HTML5 version of Add-on Chat. And so, we're going to use IRC until he gets the HTML5 version up and running, because I really do like the Add-on Chat. It's a beautiful, slick interface. You have all kinds of abilities that you can do with it. He's got to wean himself off of Java. So he says he is.
Well, is Java even being supported on the web anymore? Aren't the newest mobile devices kind of even Android abandoning Java now?
Well, iOS doesn't never support Java.
Yeah, Apple never has, but Android did, but I don't think they are anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's Sun Microsystems owns Java, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Java is not only bad, it's and it's not. There's a big difference. Java and JavaScript are 2 different things. It's very confusing, but they are 2 different things. This IRC, I believe, uses JavaScript, but again, it's not Java. It's totally different thing. And I've been running it, and it works fine. It doesn't hang the system up. It's just it works perfectly each and every time. So far, it's not hung up once. So I'm very, very happy with it. And everybody who seems to be using it seems to be happy with it. We'll just have to, we'll have to wait and see. But anyhow, getting back to Windows. So we're talking about Windows 9. Now, Windows 9, Windows 8.1, the upgrade 2, or whatever, what are they calling it?
Update 2.
Update 2, yeah, exactly. Supposedly coming out in the beginning of August. Is this going to be something, revolutionary or evolutionary, or is it just going to be more bug fixes, and they're just,
in this case, whereas the Update 1 put some important changes into it, I think Update 2 is going to be nothing but bug fixes. If there's anything more than that, I'll be surprised. I think they're holding back their big ammo for Windows 9.
And when is that going to happen, you think?
Windows 9, sometime middle, I'm going to say second half of 2015. So, about a year from now, probably. The interesting thing is I've heard no news about any beta programs or testing programs or anything, so they can't be that close to it, or we'd be getting more news of it. But yeah, sometime in late, second half of 2015 is what I'm thinking.
How are we going to look back a couple of years from now on the Windows 8 debacle? Or it's going to be in one of those for the marketing schools, or are we going to finally...
Oh, yeah, I think this is on the level of a new Coke. I think this makes, Windows Vista, which a lot of people complained about, just pale in comparison. I don't think Windows Vista was that big a mistake. I think Windows Vista was a version of Windows which had some faults, but I don't think it was basically flawed, whereas Windows 8... the thinking behind it was certainly flawed. Windows Vista just tried to do some stuff that they didn't pull off. Windows 8, I think they pulled off what they wanted to do, but what they wanted to do was wrong, and that's a fundamentally different thing.
What would you do if you were the guy or responsible for Windows 8 or guys, and now you're no longer working Microsoft? Would you or would you not put that had anything to do with it on your resume?
Me personally, I always own up to my mistakes, and I try and learn from them. My mantra is: you make a mistake, the first thing you do is you fix it. The second thing you do is you learn from it, and the third thing you do is you don't repeat it. But you learn from it. You fess up to them, you fix them, you learn from them. Now, whether the people with the egos the size of Seattle out there, whether they are even capable of doing that or not is hard to say. I mean, if people in the tech industry, Craig, certainly once they get at a certain level in some of these companies, the ego is the size of the planet Neptune, and you can't deal with these guys. They just think they are on a mission from God, and whether they're right or wrong about it. And it's always been. It's not just the guys today. The guys back in the 80s and the 90s were exactly the same way. I mean, that's how the successful ones get ahead. They have huge egos. Unfortunately, the guys who screw up a lot have huge egos too. So it's hard telling one from the other sometimes.
Yeah.
But whether these guys will fess up to it, whether they put it on the resume, I mean, you don't have to put it on a resume. You know that if you worked in the Windows group at Microsoft at a certain time that you were involved in this stuff. And if you want to tap dance around it, or if you want to say, hey, we screwed up and here's why and here's what I've learned from it, or we were right and the entire world was wrong, which is kind of the attitude of some of them, I don't know. The other thing, of course, is if you did work at Microsoft at a certain level over the period of years, you probably have enough money in the bank, you don't have to go out looking for a job right away. So I'm sure these people are okay, more or less.
Addison has an interesting comment in the chat room. He says Windows 8 was a Microsoft mistake. He says, if I'm a programmer working on it, I put it on my resume. That's true, because you can't blame the programmers. The programmers are just doing what
Right.
mandated by management. But if you're a upper management person in Microsoft and you are responsible for Windows 8, then would you put that on your resume?
Yeah, that's a different thing. He's absolutely right. If you're just a programmer, actually, you look at the thing. It was, it would be different if you were a programmer who worked on Windows Vista. I'm not sure that would be a plus for that programmer because there were programming mistakes in that one. But Windows 8 actually worked. I mean, that wasn't the problem that it didn't work. It was that nobody wanted to use it, and that is a marketing thing. That is a management thing, and those are the guys with the huge egos. And would they put it? I'm sure certain people are proud of it and think that everybody else is just screwed up.
Yeah.
And there are people who will hire people like that because in another set of circumstances these guys could be huge successes. I mean guys who have that those kind of testicles who just go ahead with that sort of thing. I mean they're either going to be huge failures or huge successes. So you roll the dice and you see which way it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a good point. I mean, you know marketing. Heaven knows you've written enough books on it, so you certainly know that. So you're saying they're not worried about where their next job is coming from?
Since the guys who really made the decisions to screw it up are probably not worried at all about their jobs. The poor little programmer off in the cubicle on the building 73 over on the Microsoft campus, he might be worried, but he's not the guy who screwed up.
Yeah.
He did his job and actually did it well. Windows 8 is well designed, and if you do have a touchscreen device or a tablet and you're using it, it's actually kind of cool. For everybody else, not so much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to Windows 9 now. So again, we're what I mean I always ask you this question every month, and as we get closer, I realize you say it's going to be about still another year, maybe. But what do you think the goals are with 9 and where do you think they're going to go?
I think the overall goal is to fix the screw up that Windows 8 was, and to get the faithful back on board. And that means focusing on business users, focusing on desktop users, and doing whatever you can to bring these guys back in the fold. So what does this mean? One, it means giving them back the desktop that whether you loved it or not, you used it, okay, is bring back your traditional desktop, which essentially means bringing back the start menu. Not the little start orb that we have now that you can right-click and it brings up a few options. No, honest-to-goodness start menu like we had in Windows 7. That's step one. We've got to make these people happy. We've got to do that. We've got to do things like they already have done, making it so that you boot directly to the desktop. You don't even have to go into the touch interface if you don't want to. So that's mission one. They got to do that. Mission two is, hey, we got all this other neat stuff that we did add. I mean, whether you liked it or not, there was some really neat stuff and apps and stuff with Windows 8. Well, why don't we make those available to people on the desktop without having to switch environments? This is the other key. Even still in Windows 8.1, you're still, whether you're a touchscreen user or a desktop user, you're still bouncing back and forth between the two environments. If you're a touchscreen user, you still have to go to the desktop to do certain things, and certainly certain configuration things. If you're a desktop user, you're forced to go back to the touch environment to just start anything, as a matter of fact. So they want to keep people from bouncing between the two environments. So Windows 9, if you're a desktop user, you need to boot to the desktop and stay in the desktop and never even know this other stuff existed. If you're a touchscreen user, you want to stay on the touchscreen. You don't want to go back to the desktop. You don't have to know that even exists. So there'll be some sort of being able to figure out on configuration. Hey, this is a tablet, therefore you're going to see this kind of interface. Hey.
They say what? Oh, did we lose him?
Desktop PC.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, we lost you. We got you back. Go on.
Okay. The third thing is all the neat stuff that was on the touch
Wait,
screen.
wait, we missed the second thing. So you mentioned one, and then you lost you completely on.
Well, the second thing is not bounce people back and forth from environment to environment. That if you're a desktop user, you stay in the desktop. You never have to go to the touch. If you're a touch user, you stay on the touch. You'd never have to go to the desktop. Okay. So none of this bouncing back and forth. Third thing is whatever is neat and workable and usable on the touch screen, let's make it available to the desktop users. Let's give the desktop users the benefit of everything we developed. So let's take these full screen apps and put them in Windows, put them on the desktop so people can use them just like normal apps. So it's doing two or three things. It's making the desktop users, giving them back the environment they want, and giving them the benefit of some of the other developments that have happened in the past year or two. So it's really, I think, a win-win for desktop users. I think that's the goal, is to make it a win-win for desktop users, to kind of go and say, hey, we're giving you these free gifts. This is one. Not only we're giving you back what you wanted, but here's this other stuff too. Hope you like it. I think that's the goal. Now, the next question that you're probably going to ask is, well, but if I'm a desktop user, you're going to make me pay for this? Are they going to charge for Windows 9? And that's certainly a question I have. If I'm a desktop user and you forced me to spend money on and use this stinking hunk of garbage, this heaping cesspool of bad DNA, which is Windows 8, are you going to charge me to fix it?
Yeah.
Are you going to charge me for you to fix your own mistake? I think that Microsoft should give Windows 9 for free to anybody who's using Windows 8 or 8.1.
Yeah.
Do I think they will? Probably not, but I think they should. I think that would be the ultimate offer of goodwill, is to say, look, yeah, we screwed up. Here's Windows 9. It's better. It fixes things, and it's better, and it's free. Take us back. Please take us back now. Love us again. I think that's what Microsoft needs to do. Do I think they will do it? I doubt it. But I think if they did that, they would win a lot of people back.
All right. Okay. Well, now. Okay. Now, just a bunch of things happening here. I just got to see what's going on here.
Sounded like you had an old car horn in your office there.
Yeah, exactly. I just told Charles to call us on our 347 number and join us live on the show. So he won't be in our video, but he certainly will be on our audio portion of the program. So until he gets internet. So it just dawned on me. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but he can just call the show and then be in on the program. So at least we have him audibly. It's better than not having him at all. All right, so we're talking about Windows 9 and here with correspondent Michael Miller. So any other thoughts on Windows 9 at this point?
No, well, in terms of what else Microsoft might add to it, I don't know. I'm sure they'll fancy this up and fancy that up. Personally, I'd like to see the return of the Aero interface, the kind of see-through, translucent, windows that they took away in Windows 8. That if you look at the desktop on Windows 8, is much uglier than the desktop in Windows 7. And I'd like to see them, pretty up the desktop again. I don't know whether they will. The people haven't really been crying about that as much as they have the start menu, so who knows. But I'd like to see that come back. And again, for developers, if they can make Windows 9 as such that they can develop Windows 9 apps, for the desktop and have them run on phone, have them run on tablets, I think they'll do a really good job of winning back the development community too. So, they've got a lot of things they need to do to just get back to where they were 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, Microsoft's dug themselves into a big hole here with both users and developers, and they've got their work cut out for them to make it better. And they've taken a long time to make it better. But do I hope they can succeed? Well, as a Windows user, I do. I use Windows. I want my Windows to be, everything I need it to be. Am I rooting for Microsoft? Not necessarily rooting for Microsoft. I'm rooting for me. I just want my old Windows back. That's what I want. And if that makes Microsoft more successful, fine. I don't care about Microsoft. I just want Windows back.
Right. And because you felt you lost it with Windows 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you had been a Windows user for 10 years, 15 years like most people, and you're all of a sudden you see this Windows 8 thing in the pure modern touchscreen interface thing, you wouldn't know what the heck it was. You wouldn't recognize it as Windows at all.
Right, exactly. Well, okay. What is no, no, I'm not. Why he says he's calling and then we're not answering. Yeah. Uh, it's 347-88. Oh, it's 884. I'm sorry. I've got the. I got to tell him the 3478.
Have you been giving the number for a phone sex line or something? What's he been dialing?
Oh gosh. 8881 347-884-8881. That's it. Okay. And you got so many things going on here, and no assistant, so I've got to do it myself while I'm on the air. And Charles, didn't you remember? It's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. He says it all the time, but evidently, he had a moment there. But hopefully, we'll get him on the show just moments before we go to the top of the hour. There he is. All right, took him long enough. And hey, Charles. Hey, Charles. What took you so long?
It's your fault.
Why? What did I do? I gave you the wrong number.
Because I'm sitting here dialing the number and it was just ringing forever. And I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't he answering the phone?
What number? You were dialing the wrong number.
I was dialing the wrong number and didn't notice it. And then I asked you, and you were like, "Yep." And I was like, "Oh."
I'm doing the show at the same time, trying to type, answer the phone. And it looked like it's 347.
Excuses.
You are the co-host of the show, and you don't know the call-in number by heart. Come on.
Up until recently, you didn't either. It's a new number.
No, 347-884-8881. Maybe this is why no one hasn't been calling the show. No.
No one's been calling the show because we forgot the number.
Exactly. No, but anyway, we get callers. The thing is, at least you're joining us audibly. 'Cause I don't know why I didn't think of that. I mean, so we don't have you on the video portion of the show, but you certainly can call in when you're using your phone, and you can participate. So say hi to Mike. We've been talking about Windows 8 and Windows 9 and everything. So
yeah, I've been listening on the radio app, and Windows 8.
The Boost radio network has its mobile app, so he doesn't need the internet. You could actually listen to the show on your mobile app, which is a very nice little feature, by the way. And yeah, exactly.
And now that we have the non-Java chat room, I can actually participate in the chat room from my mobile device as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Very, very, very nice. Yeah, the IRC Internet Relay Chat really comes through in many different ways. Okay, well, listen, we're coming to the top of the hour, and then we're going to continue on.
So, Charles, now that you have 10 seconds, what do you think? Yes or no?
No.
All right, there you go. You listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Michael Miller, author, is here with us for both hours. Charles Tyndall now joining us on the phone lines. This is the Computer America Show. Got another new news tips bulletin from Marty Winston. We got our show reminder winner of the week coming up. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your host, the guy on the telephone, Charles Tyndall.
There you go. I was hoping you'd do that. And okay. And Charles Tyndall now joining us on the call-in line because his internet is down. It's not only is it down at your office, but it's down at your home. And I'm not sure why this is happening, but this is an unusual situation because usually if your office isn't working, your home is working, or vice versa, right?
Yep. it's rarely the same, both at the same time. So, yeah.
And so must be a huge system area crash. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we were having issues earlier in the week at the house, and like I had the Comcast guy here a couple of times, and actually helped him troubleshoot his node, and there was something that was happening on it earlier in the week where it wasn't logging, so it wasn't seeing like packet loss, and because I am who I am, I was noticing the fluctuation at home, and when I called him up and started showing him all the stuff, he was like, well, for some reason that node isn't actually reporting its logs, so I'm wondering if it finally collapsed or broken or something.
Yeah, it finally gave up the ghost, evidently. Yeah. Well, listen, as I said, we have Michael Miller here, and before we move on to the next thing, next topic, any comments you have about Windows 8, Charles, that we might not have, covered?
I don't know. Wait, so Mike, are you for or against Windows 9?
Well, I'm hoping that it's better than Windows 8. So as a Windows user, yeah, I'm for Windows 9, as if it delivers what it should deliver.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when it comes out, ask me again.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and it does remain to be seen. I mean, Microsoft could still screw it up. I mean, so many people are so ticked off at them. They've got to get it right. I mean, they can't screw up even a little bit about Windows 9. It's got to be everything that people are expecting, or people aren't going to cut them any slack. That they've used up all their goodwill.
All right.
But again, you remember what they did with Vista, right? When Vista came out and it was as horrible as it was, everybody ditched them, and then all of them came flocking back for Windows 7. So maybe that's what they're going to do to 9.
You agree? Maybe.
Well, their history is that they do come back after big screw-ups. Typically the first time they do something, and we could call Windows 8, essentially a new operating system, they always screw up the first thing. Whether that was Excel 1.0 or PowerPoint 1.0 or the first version of Internet Explorer or whatnot, they always mess it up. But then they fix it the next time, and the next time generally is a pretty good version of things. I mean, again, if you think of Windows Vista as a 1.0 thing, well, Windows 7 fixed it, and everybody loved Vista. So maybe, they kind of have this history that, as bad as Windows 8.8 and 8.1 is, that Windows 9 probably is going to be, what it needs to be. They kind of have the history of doing that. I mean, I'm not sure that's a great track record. So yeah, we screw up really big, but then we fix it. That's not a great motto, but that is kind of what they do.
Well, Charles?
I already said that.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on to this next topic. Although what I want to do, because it's not on the notes here, but because each time Mike Miller has been on with us, I know for one reason or another you haven't been here with him. I know Ben has been on with a couple of times, and Mike has been talking about his new book on Bitcoin, and I wanted you to have an opportunity, Charles, to talk to Mike a little bit about it, because I know you're so heavily, not heavily invested in it, but certainly you know a lot about it. Yeah, into Bitcoin, so Mike, I know how much closer to the book being published are you? I mean, how much?
Actually, about the same place I was last month. I had to kind of put that one on hold. Well, I'm kind of at the whim of my publishers. I have several books under contract at the same time, and I've got a little book called Teach Yourself Gmail. In 10 minutes. Not a big book, it's a little book. But my publisher has got a deal with Barnes & Noble going on it, where Barnes & Noble really wants to put it on promotion, but they need it in their stores at a certain point in time, and this book was later on my schedule to do. So they said, hey, Barnes & Noble really wants this book, so can you, push this other one out for a month and work on the Gmail book? So I've spent the past several weeks working on the Gmail book. So it will be on the Gmail book. Teach Yourself Gmail will be on promotion, Barnes & Noble, probably sometime in September, whenever. But, so I I'm flexible. I scoop my projects along as need be. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just now getting back into the Bitcoin book. I actually wrote a chapter, in the middle of writing a chapter now about Bitcoin mining, which I find fascinating.
And it's interesting that you talk, because we had on the show a couple of days ago, I know you would have found this interesting, Mike, we actually had a company that sells the equipment to do Bitcoin mining. It's called ASIC Runner, ASIC. They were on Monday, and they're talking about their Hex Fury and the on the A6 chip. So they sell the actual hardware. So if you want to go mining cryptocurrency, you can do it.
Yeah, actually, they're one of the companies that I was writing about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, they. I mean, to do Bitcoin mining requires just a ton of processing to do it, and dedicated machines that can run $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and more. There's some cheaper ways to do it, but you're really not going to get into the mining pools if you do it in the cheaper ways. I don't think anyway. But yeah, so the whole mining thing is fascinating. Charles, have you gotten into the mining thing at all?
No, I've got friends who've built, the mining rigs with all the different, video cards and ridiculous levels of RAM. And I think one's got it like liquid cooled and all this other crazy stuff. And I've seen the open chassis ones, but no, I trade Bitcoin, so I'm not one of those people who are going to be sitting there or have a dedicated machine to just go and chisel away at the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, for listeners out there, what Bitcoin mining is, it has nothing to do with mining. I don't know where the phrase came up. But basically, in the world of Bitcoin, the way Bitcoin works is when you make a transaction, if I would to trade Bitcoin with you, Charles, or if I were to buy something with Bitcoin, that transaction goes out there into the Bitcoin network and has to be verified. And the way it's verified is by running some very complex mathematical processes on the underlying data. Basically, you apply a formula almost to the transaction data, and that creates something called a hash, which is an encrypted thing. And the hash has to be, which in itself, that doesn't take a whole lot of processing power, it takes some. But the problem is the hash has to be in a particular format, has to have the right number of zeros in front and that sort of thing. And the odds of getting a hash, which is done randomly by applying this mathematical formula, the odds of getting a hash that matches the format that is usable is minuscule. So in doing this process, the people who do it with their fancy machines, they actually might have to do this same calculation over 1 billion times to get one that works. And that's where the real processing power comes in. That you've got to run this calculation over and over and over and over and over again, and very, very fast, because if you don't get it done first, another Bitcoin miner will pick it up, okay, and get it done. And whoever gets it done first, whoever comes up with the right hash first, wins. They get a reward. They get a reward of 25 Bitcoin, which at today's rates is something like, what is that, $15,000 or so, if you actually get this transaction verified and completed. So there's money in Bitcoin mining, but it requires a huge amount of processing power to do, and a huge amount of electricity. Actually, the electrical cost is one of the bigger costs here to get it done. If you're too slow, if you don't have the right machine, you'll spend more on electricity than you could actually earn in the mining.
And obviously the people with the big bucks are gonna with the equipment are gonna get most of the money.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it is now. In the early days of Bitcoin, you could do it with a desktop computer. There wasn't that much competition, but now there's the competition in the mining community. So that actually, most individual there aren't a whole lot of individual miners. I mean, there are guys who, have not guys but companies who've got lots of machines. But more often than not, what you find is individuals joining together in what's called a mining pool, so that they all pool together and if somebody in that pool, wins that transaction, then they split the proceeds among the people of the pool.
Okay. It sounds a lot like gambling. I don't know.
Well, this isn't gambling. I mean, this is just Bitcoin itself might be gambling, but the mining is actually work. It's just pure old computing.
Yeah, exactly. Charles, are we still have you there? Or are you kind of fading in and out? So, yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Well,
did I describe that close enough, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the mining pools ones are the fun things, because you run into the same problem that you run into with the office lottery pool. Everybody puts $1 in, they buy a bunch of tickets, and if anybody wins, you're supposed to split it all. Therefore, you get a lot of disputes and a lot of those other things that go wrong.
Yeah, and you also have the issue of, well, what if you just have essentially the Model T of mining rigs, and you're in a mining pool? Should you get the same share as somebody who's got, a fancy rig they spent $10,000 on? How do you divide up the shares when you're in a pool?
That's true.
Now, see, here comes the politics and the complication.
Well, my computer is the strongest, so I should get most of the profit.
Well, and that's the way it should go and the way it does go in most mining pools. That they look at the processing power measured in terms of giga hashes per second, GHS, giga hashes per second. How many billion hashes you can create in a second. That's the power of these things. And if you've got a more powerful machine, you're probably gonna win the transaction more than a guy who's got a less powerful machine. So why shouldn't you get a bigger share?
Yeah. And is that how it works?
I think in most.
The other aspect of the things that
Charles?
Oh, I can't. I think there's a delay between me speaking and you guys speaking. But the other aspect of it is a lot of these pools, they have a minimum level that your machine must be at in order to enter the pool in a good chunk of them. But the other problem is I can easily enter into a lower pool or to a lower ranking pool with one of my rigs and then offload all of my Bitcoining to a whole nother rig. So there's no honor there. Sometimes you can play fair, sometimes you can't. Me personally, I can't deal with being in one of those pools or spending the several $1,000s on just a machine that's literally just going to sit in my server room and just crunch numbers away. Now, some companies spend a great deal of money actually doing that. Like it was a big investment in a couple of companies. They're like, oh, let's just see if we can do it, and they built the biggest, baddest thing they could, and they did fairly well.
And so basically, it's a machine that you turn on and it just makes money for you.
Yeah, well, for some companies, certainly, yes. I mean, obviously there is money to be made for this. Every time you verify a transaction, create a new block for the Bitcoin blockchain, you get a reward of, like I said, 25 Bitcoin, and at today's rates, that's about $15,000. So this is how new Bitcoins get created. That originally they didn't have a lot of people in the Bitcoin community, so they needed to encourage people to donate their computing power to verify these transactions. And how best to encourage someone, to motivate someone, than to pay them, okay? But who's going to pay them? I mean, the people doing the transactions don't really want to take a cut out of the transactions to pay them, so, hey, let's just mine new Bitcoin to pay them.
I thought there were only so many Bitcoin and that was it. You can't create new Bitcoin.
Once you get to a certain level, okay, right now new Bitcoins are being created with every transaction that's being made, but then it's maxed out. There is a theoretical maximum. I believe it's 21 million Bitcoin, I think is the maximum, where that'll be it, and then there will be no more mining at that point in time. At that point in time, the Bitcoin miners will only be paid by transaction fees, not by the mining of new Bitcoin. So in fact, even this 25 Bitcoin reward, the payment level, is going to change. Probably in about 4 years from now, that level will be cut in half. The payment level will be cut in half. So they're anticipating that the popularity of the thing and the growth of the thing, and the difficulty levels changing and all that, so that over time the level will be cut in half, and then a few years after that will be cut in half again from that, and cut in half again from that, until finally we'll reach the maximum number of Bitcoins, and we won't be able to pay people in new Bitcoin.
So basically, you're saying investment in this technology is limited. It has no future. I mean, it's going to eventually end.
No, it's not going to end. It's going to just go up in value.
So if I have all this hardware that I've invested doing all these hash, billions of hashes tags, but eventually when I can't use it to make because I can't use it in my mining efforts is over, then then I'm out of luck, right?
Well, the first assumption is that the value of the Bitcoins themselves will increase, so that when all of a sudden you get paid half as many Bitcoin, the Bitcoin will probably be worth twice as much money. So that might be kind of a wash at that point. And when we get to the end of the chain, when we reach that 21 million Bitcoin level, whatever it is, then there will be enough money to be made just from transaction fees, presumably, to make the mining still worthwhile.
So in other words, I'm going to get transaction fees. I'm not going to get Bitcoin.
Right, but that is years, a decade from now.
Processor at that point.
Okay.
The transactions are going to pay for themselves, so it's going to be like unlike tangible currency. We can just print more. At the point at which there's no more Bitcoin, it's all now what's being made for goods and services traded for Bitcoin. I process your Bitcoin. That's 0.0002 Bitcoin. I broker a deal for you in Bitcoin. It's this percent. That's where the money's going to transfer to. So it's never going to end. It's just going to change the way that it gets handed off. And like Mike said, by that point, it's going to be worth a lot more.
And by the way, this movement to transaction fees as opposed to mining Bitcoin, to creating Bitcoin, that's exactly how today's currency system works. How does First Data make their money? How does MasterCard make their money? It's not by creating new money. They do it by charging transaction fees. So eventually, a decade or more from now, it's just going to move more to the traditional transaction fee model.
So do you think the people who are doing it the way now and they're making Bitcoin are going to look back, 4 or 5, 6 years and say, boy, those were the good old days, or are they going to still be making more money? I think
they're already doing that.
I mean, are they making? Is it more profitable to do it now than it's going to be in the future when they reach that maximum, or is it still going to be plenty of opportunities for these people?
I think there's opportunities. Will it be as profitable? No. And as Charles started to say there, it's not as profitable now as it used to be. It used to be you didn't require quite the investment in machinery or electricity to compete as you do now. It was, again, 2-3 years ago, you and I could have done this, Craig. We wouldn't have needed these fancy rigs. Well, now you need the fancy rigs. A year from now, you're going to need an even fancier rig to compete on it. So the costs of playing in the game have just been, getting larger over the past year or two.
What about these supercomputers where you can actually you can rent out the time, and just rent out the time on a supercomputer and just beat all these people out, just because and make a heck of a lot more money just using the shared time on a supercomputer.
Well, actually, people have been doing that. They've been renting servers from Amazon using their AWS platform, and Amazon kind of banned them. Because they start crunching down and using up all the power that everyone else is expecting to get out of these servers. So I don't know of anyone who has an open Bitcoin mining policy.
The National Weather Service? They're using supercomputers, right? Maybe they can rent out some of their time or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if there's that much time to rent, I guess is what Charles is saying, and that's true. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of processing power and the electricity to drive the computers involved in all of that, and nobody's going to give that to you for free.
No, that's true, but maybe the money that you're going to be making will offset the cost of renting out the supercomputer, and you still might make a good profit.
I'm sure if it were doable, it would have been done. But I'm not sure the economics work out on it.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Oh, we just lost Charles. Okay.
Well, he's probably out mining his Bitcoin right now, and it crashed his computer.
That or his cell phone went dead.
But I tell you, if you want to get into Bitcoin mining on a very small level, some of these companies, I don't know whether the company you had on the show the other day is one of them, but some of them make actually not freestanding computers, but almost I'm not even sure how to freestanding box, okay, that you would plug into your computer via USB that would be able to process these Bitcoin transactions at a much slower rate. Okay, so instead of being 300 gigahashes per second, it might be 10 gigahashes per second. Okay, so not near as powerful, but they only cost about $300 or $400 for the hardware. So if you could get into a mining pool with one of these cheaper machines, you're not going to get as big a share. You're not going to be making $15,000 a pop, but maybe you could generate 100 or 2 a week. A couple $100 a week off of one of these little machines joining a a Bitcoin mining pool that way. I haven't investigated these smaller machines in that much depth yet, but they look a little interesting to me in terms of the average Joe being able to get into the Bitcoin mining thing. Because obviously, with the price of these rigs now, the company that you had on the show, the average Joe isn't going to get into these. Okay, you're going to have to be really dedicated to do it. You know, perhaps with one of these $300-400 devices, it might be a little bit easier to get a little slice of the pie.
Yeah, and that's fading fast though. As time progresses, those little they get even smaller and smaller slice of the pie. And maybe by the time your book comes out, everything you're writing about it's going to change.
Well, yeah, I've been writing about technology for 25 years, so I'm used to that. Okay. That always happens. Things change while I'm writing them sometimes. But the only thing that hasn't changed, I'm doing a textbook on Open Office, and Open Office is so. It's not like a modern software thing. They haven't changed anything in like years, so it's wonderful. I don't have to worry about them changing things on me overnight, like when I'm writing about Google or whatnot. But the Bitcoin is particularly like shooting at a moving target, because I mean everything changes nightly. I mean, even just the price of the thing. When I first started writing the book, it had just come off a high. The pricing had been up around $1,000 per Bitcoin in terms of transaction rate. It had come down to about 500 actually. So when I first started writing the book, the Bitcoin price was, in the upper fives, getting close to 600. Mm-hmm. About 2 weeks into the book, okay, I've been writing about this. The Bitcoin price is 580. The Bitcoin price is 590. About 2 weeks into it, the price hit 685. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, I should have bought some Bitcoin 2 weeks ago, because that's pretty good. That's a good deal. Well, now if you check I haven't checked the price today, but I checked the price yesterday. It was around 602, 605, something like that. So it's up and down and up and down and up and down.
Didn't you say that if you were to get involved with it, it would go bad because you have such bad luck with things like this?
Oh yeah, I am the anti-investor. I'm the guy that if I invest in something, everybody else should short it, because that's the way it is. I have this track record of, actually I'm very good at predicting what a company will do. I'm very bad at predicting when. Yeah. I predicted the demise of AOL about 7 years before it actually had its demise. Yeah. So I knew it was going to happen. I just guessed wrong. In terms of Bitcoin pricing, the price today is 601. That's the price today on Bitcoin.
Charles, your Bitcoin is worth $601.
Right. If you own a Bitcoin and you wanted to exchange it for U.S. dollars, right.
Well, actually, there's another trick that we, I don't exchange them for U.S. dollars. I turn them into gift cards. And then let the gift cards sit there, and then if the price of Bitcoin drops back down, I turn the gift card back into a Bitcoin.
Makes sense.
Are you
so if I end up
You're sort of hedging your bet there, you mean?
Well, I guess you could call it that. I mean, the gift cards are turned into like Amazon gift cards. Are turned into a whole bunch of other stuff using I think it's called eGifter, and I just let them sit there. Once I get to a certain level on my Bitcoin wallet, transfer 600, transfer 500, whatever it is, off into a gift card, and then when the price of Bitcoin drops back down, I take that gift card, because it's not real money, it's not money that I actually had in my pocket, mm-hmm. and turn it back into a Bitcoin, and then when the price goes back up, I usually make about $100.
Okay. Well, you're not going to get rich doing that, but, I guess...
Well, at certain volume levels you would, yeah.
Yeah, if you did it for 1,000 Bitcoins or something like that, maybe you would do that. Can you lose? Is that where you can't lose, or you're saying that you could lose your shirt with that?
Well, I couldn't lose my shirt with that because, one, I'm not banking on my Bitcoin. I move it off, I cash out when it's high, and I buy low.
Well, that's the old saying: buy low, sell high. But it's easier said than done. So.
Yeah. And timing it perfect, because nobody knows, how high Bitcoin's going to be tomorrow or how low it's going to be the next day. It's still, financial gambling, if you want to look at it that way, like the stock market.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look, I've got tickers and I've got alerts and everything else that when Bitcoin drops below a certain point, I get a notification, I get an email, or I get a text, and right then it's like, let's buy a bunch of Bitcoin, because it's going to come right back up. Like, it dipped down right before Dell announced that they were accepting Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. And that drove it back
and then
up.
once they did it, it went back up.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have any predictions, Charles, on, let's say a year from now, what the Bitcoin price might be?
3.
Dollars?
Yeah.
Dollars would be horrible. Well, I think as Bitcoin, as it evolves, I think I think we've seen it stabilize for a good while now. As more people get on board. But here in the next, I want to say 4 to 6 months, that'll probably take us into early next year. There are companies that are out there that are working to underwrite Bitcoin. They saw what happened with Mt. Gox, and they're now trying to figure out ways to insure it. Once that happens, and there are more people who are comfortable with having that level of risk, and it stops being kind of this micro stock market, I think we're going to see it go up a little bit more, and I think we're going to see it plateau and not move anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've hashed Bitcoin as much as we wanted to. Why don't we move into this next topic? We actually had Intel on talking about the Internet of Things about 2 months ago. We had talking about the topic, and evidently, or the Internet of Everything, or has been also known as the Internet of Things. You actually did an article, I believe, on the Internet of Things, and is it a big futuristic deal? What's going on with this?
Well, the Internet of Things. I mean, you have to know what it is. My article we called the Internet of Everything. I actually think the Internet of Things is a better descriptor, because the current internet is an internet of and for people. I mean, we have websites and we got blogs and stuff, but basically it's people using it, right? We're using the blogs, we're visiting the websites. With the Internet of Things, we're talking about not connecting people, but literally connecting things. Anything that you can attach with a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi radio, transmitter and receiver, and therefore assign an IP address. That's going to be a thing on the Internet of Things. So, I mean, you probably can't put a Bluetooth radio in a paper clip, but you could put a Bluetooth radio in your eyeglasses, or you can put it in your refrigerator, your smartphone, your drone, your car, and anything can be connected to the Internet and therefore communicate with not only with people, okay, but also with other things. So if you have, and the word smart is always used. I've got a smart TV, I've got a smart refrigerator, I've got a smart paper clip, whatever. But if you've got an internet connected thing transmitting data out on the internet for other things to access, well, what can you do with all that? I mean, you start thinking about it. Well, what does my refrigerator know? What does my car know? What does my pacemaker in my chest know? And what data is it transmitting? Who can use that data? What other things can use that data to do other things? And this is what the Internet of Things is all about. It's really taking all the data which currently is not accessible, but making it accessible and doing something with it. And there's you start thinking about, there's just a lot of interesting stuff that can possibly be done with it.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to continue on with this, and maybe we have time also to talk about the music industry that you did a story on. You listened to the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Michael Miller, author, is here with us, Computer America correspondent. We've got our show reminder of the week coming up next, too. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
There, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a news tips bulletin review of the Hans Swipe Clean. You know, products that clean touchscreens represent an inherently clever marketing strategy, since there's no touchscreen that doesn't need to be touched, and touched in a way that dirties it. So no sooner do you clean it than you begin the cycle anew. Hans Swipe Clean is a small plastic applicator that's somewhat reminiscent of a deodorant stick, but with caps at both ends. Open the top cap for an applicator to swipe on its cleaning fluid with a straight line motion recommended. Close the top and open the bottom for a microfiber wipe rolled over a strut. You can take that out and put a clean section there when you need to. They recommend wiping with a circular motion to get the microfiber to clean the fluid off the screen. The cleaning job is effective at removing fingerprints and smudges, and the refillable package is rated for 500 uses. Bottom line, Hans Swipe Clean makes the combo of fluid and microfiber handy to tote. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Charles Tendell is here with me, albeit on the phone, but he is still here. You know, your internet connection will come up maybe 1 minute before, right after we go off the air. That's my prediction.
I haven't even checked it yet. So.
Yeah. Okay. Michael Miller here, and we're talking about, well, just finishing talking about Bitcoins, and now we're talking about the Internet of Things. Here's what I want to do. We need to do our show reminder winner of the week. We need to do our show reminder winner.
Before we do that, I want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go back just a little bit. Like you said, the Internet of Things consists of things that are connected to the internet. But you would also lump in there like Bluetooth. Bluetooth doesn't inherently connect to the internet, so it technically wouldn't be an Internet of Things device. But the Bluetooth devices connect to usually another device that is connected to the internet. So in that sense, they are. I don't, people freaking out going, oh my God, my Bluetooth is on the internet all the time too. But the risks behind not what this information knows about you, it's what these devices can be used to do to you. We've seen a string in the last year or so of a lot of the internet connected cameras at homes getting hacked. And it's not a new thing. That's been around for several years as they came online. But the more readily available, the more off-the-shelf solutions where it's just plug it in, point it at the thing you want, set a password, and go. Or, not even set a password, download the app and you're good. A lot of those devices still connect to the internet, and there's still a way for outside people to see them. Listening devices and all those other things. So it's not so much that my refrigerator knows that I need a gallon of milk or that I shop every once in a while for this. That's good demographic information. It's more along the lines of, can I use your refrigerator to freeze everything in there? Can I use the camera on the thing to see what's going on in the kitchen kind of thing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean the Internet of Things definitely, as you said, there's the risk of privacy. How much do you want things and people to know about you? But I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm not so sure I'm going to be worried about killer refrigerators. But basically, you know, you talk about things that are connected to the Internet being hackable and being used in the exact opposite way. I mean, yeah. I mean, what's hacking somebody's pacemaker? That'd be a great thing, wouldn't it? Or an insulin pump, or what? I mean, it's theoretically possible, right?
Well, what would you do if you could hack somebody's pacemaker and turn it off?
No, they have done that. They have actually, a security researcher at I think the UK actually was able to hack the Bluetooth signal, the low energy, or at this point it wasn't really low energy, but the Bluetooth signal from the pacemaker, from the insulin pump, and was able to actually crank it up. Like if you really wanted to kill someone, you just walk into an area, find these devices on this small micro network, and just crank them all up, and everybody drops dead. Pacemakers. There was always that worry that pacemakers might be susceptible to some sort of electronic interference. Was it what vice president went and had his pacemaker removed because he heard about or who was it? Was it Dick Cheney? Somebody heard about it and went and had theirs replaced by one that didn't have the interconnectivity because they didn't want to have somebody hack them. And it's legitimate. I mean, the more technology comes on our body, the more likely you are to end up in situations where stuff like that can happen. And the Internet of Things just kind of draws it that direction.
Yeah, I see the next plot for the next version of CSI. Somebody's dead with an insulin overdose. Well, what happened? And was somebody hacking into their insulin pump, and they bring out all their fancy, blue light things to find out, and all the devices that don't exist in the real world they have on CSI. So that's the next plot there.
Okay. Hey, listen, let's do our show reminder winner.
I want creative credit for that one.
Okay, you got it. Let's do the show reminder winner. We can no longer do the digital drums because of the live video streaming, and we're looking at Mike. We know that he's not playing them. So, exactly, you could do that.
So wait, Mike actually has drums.
Yes, I know.
I actually do have. They're down in the basement, but I do have drums. This is true.
Well, let's go ahead and call out the winner anyway, okay? So this week's show reminder winner is George Leader. George Leader, congratulations! You win the Logitech wireless rechargeable touchpad T650. It's valued at $80. It's got this smooth glass surface, gives your fingers the freedom to perform Windows gestures. It's a beautiful touchpad, and it is now yours. George Leader, congratulations for being this week's show reminder winner of the week. And again, just head over to our contest page at computeramerica.com. You can see all of our contests. You can see our weekly show reminder. You can subscribe to it right there. We also have our Logitech contest where we give away 3 different prizes. Head over to our contest page at computeramerica.com. They're private. They're free. Enter in all of them, and who knows, you might win something really, really nice. So we're finishing in the last half hour here. We're finishing it off with Michael Miller, and we're talking about the Internet of Things. So yes, they are real winners. They really are. My co-host just wants to know.
Sometimes I think you make up names just so I can't win.
No, each and every winner gets it's sent immediately to Logitech, and Logitech, our contact over there, immediately sends out an email, and she carbons me. So I'll be more than happy to copy you all the winners that we've had. But every week it's a legitimate week winner. You see, Charles thinks he doesn't win, but he doesn't realize that he's my co-host. He's not eligible to win. So.
Yes, but you never said that the co-host spouse or pet or children.
That's true. Yeah. What is it they say though? Is it all employees, or if you're related to a member of an employee? What's the verbiage that goes on then none of them are qualified. I didn't say that though. I don't say that though.
See? So
there it is. Anyway, George Leader, congratulations on being this week's show reminder winner. So where do we stand now? So we're talking about the Internet of Things. How does this affect you and me and anybody else? I mean, we're going to see it in our cars. I mean, we're seeing it in our cars now, right, Mike? Mike, I think no, Mike, you're muted again. Mike,
Well, see, I need my thing to be connected here, so that I'm always on. That's what's wrong. Well, I mean, we're seeing some of this already in the form of, let's say, smart TVs, which are internet connected and whatnot. A couple companies have either announced or are shipping smart refrigerators that can tell you when you're out of milk or you need eggs or whatnot.
How does it do that? I've always wondered about that. Oh, it's going to tell you when your milk is low. How does it?
Some sort of sensor inside that knows what's there and what. Yeah, but
it does calculations.
Yeah. But the real power here is not that it tells you, but if that sensor tells another sensor, let's say at the grocery store, to go ahead and get the order ready for them, which then tells another sensor in the grocery store's drone aircraft to then pick up the milk and the eggs and deliver it to your home, that you don't have to get involved in any of this at all. Probably the ultimate smart thing here is the self-driving car. In terms of a connected thing and being smart, if a car knows where you want to go and how you want to get there, all you have to do is get in. You don't have to do a darn thing. That ultimately this Internet of Things is going to make us much less aware of our surroundings and much lazier than we are today, if that's even imaginable.
Yeah. What was the name of the movie, the Bruce Willis movie, where no one ever left their house? They had these robot avatars.
Yes.
What was the name of that movie?
Starts with SERP. Not. I'm thinking of it. I'll think of it in a moment. Yes, but anyway.
That's where I.
Surrogate.
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 The further and further down the road of you are lazy and don't want to do anything and don't want to leave our houses and all that sort of stuff, the closer connected we get, the closer to that we are. Because next it's going to be like, what's going to happen when that guy does create that remote-controlled robot that goes to work for him, that is productive at work? What's the difference? What would be the actual difference there? If I sent a remote-controlled robot to do my job in an office somewhere, and I'm remotely controlling it halfway around the world, is there a difference there?
Well, yeah, you're still preoccupied by time. I mean, you're controlling it, but it takes your time, and your time is what's of value.
Yeah, but what if you have all the things and sensors and stuff? I mean, here's a real world one. Right now, they have devices they can implant in cattle. All right, essentially GPS-type devices. So the devices, this is part of the Internet of Things. They connect to a Wi-Fi network, and they can tell the farmer, the cattleman, whoever it is, that the cattle have moved from here to point X to point Z. They're outside the range. Somebody broke his foot or whatnot. Okay, so this information today can be transferred to the farmer, the cattleman, so they can do something with it. Well, now let's add in another thing into that, and let's say that we have little robots. Little, cattle herding robots that, the cattleman doesn't even have to get involved. The cattle herding robot gets a signal from the cattle that they're over here in, plot Z instead of plot Y. The cattle herding robot, travels over there and herds them back to where they need to be. The cattleman, the farmer, whoever, doesn't even have to get involved with the herd anymore. That the Internet of Things becomes self-manageable or self-managing that way. That human beings don't have to get involved in the process.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
now, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? If you're the cattleman, if you're the farmer, that sounds like a good thing to me. You let the robots and the Internet of Things do the work for you. You have to hire fewer people also.
Eating that idea. Because if you're a cattleman, you just got replaced by a GPS-controlled drone.
Well, it depends on which level of cattleman you are. If you're the ranch owner, fine, but you don't need any more cowboys anymore. We put all the cowboys out of work.
Yeah, but then where does the cowboy go? What does he become?
Well, he is probably on the bread line right now, like everybody else. So.
Exactly. I mean, this is the same argument that the cab companies in New York, right? They basically they lobbied and sued, and I don't know whether they were effective or not. But they got rid of Uber. They're trying to get rid of Uber in high population areas because the cab drivers are pissed. Because I can stand on a corner or be ready to leave, hit a button, and 3 minutes later, me up. Right? I'm riding in more style, and it's about the same cost as a cab, and it's customized to me, and I look really good doing it. people were getting upset by that because it was replacing them. Google's self-driving car, the cab drivers are going to lose their mind when this happens. They're gonna do everything in their power to prevent that technology from showing up.
Well, if they have the power to argue, to lobby against it, take not just cab driving, but take delivery, take pizza delivery. We've kind of joked before about Amazon with their drones or Domino pizza drones or whatnot, but that's very real. If you're Domino's and you can eliminate a whole slice of labor costs there by instead of hiring teenage reckless drivers to have reckless drones instead, well that saves the company money. And who cares about the 17-year-old pizza delivery guy? They don't have a union. They're not going to get anywhere. So all of a sudden, teenagers can't find work. Everything's being delivered by drones. The big corporations are going to love this thing, but where does that leave the human beings? They're all going to be working call centers. That's the only human being job left, I believe.
Now the drones have to be managed by people.
Did you see the movie Wall-E?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen to the world.
Oh,
get fat and live on giant ships.
But don't the drones have to be manned at the drone center by qualified by people?
Not necessarily. Depends on how smart the technology is.
What?
If the technology is smart enough, why does it need to be driven? A self-driving car, there's nobody in Google headquarters driving that car. That's all done automatically with the right combination of sensors and algorithms and whatnot. Same thing with the Domino's pizza delivery drone. Why do you need a person driving it?
I think.
Yeah, but who maintains the vehicles is what Craig's trying to say. But even still, it's not a matter of who maintains the vehicles, because eventually we're going to get to the point where the maintainer of the autonomous vehicle is an automaton by themselves.
Exactly.
It's going to come down to the guys who control the computers. And the guys who control the computers will control the world, and the rest of us will just be, impoverished. Everybody will be living in Walmart-provided housing. It's just, it'll end up that way.
Or on a spaceship like Wall-E.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there you go. That's it. So everybody out there, we're taking a Bitcoin pool right now, okay, to get the Computer America show to the moon, because that's where we're going to colonize. There are no robots allowed, no Internet of Things allowed on the moon. We're going to build our own space elevator, and we're now accepting Bitcoin donations. So, get to donate.
Well, the only problem with the moon is I don't think they have Wi-Fi up there, do they?
They will.
No, in this particular case, they have hi-fi. They don't have Wi-Fi.
Well, I guess we could take this to the nth degree, and we can go on and on. But basically, the Internet of Things, at least in the immediate future, is going to have some. Is going to be a fun aspect, and will make our lives a little bit simpler or easier, anyway.
I mean, Craig, didn't you have a robot dog at some point?
Ibo. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remembered that. Yeah, I remember Ibo. Yeah.
I had one of the first Ibos. I purchased them, and I did actually very good, because after many years later, I actually sold him and got most of the money. Someone bought him, it was a collector, for more than what I paid for him. So, which is like $1,500.
Oh, see?
Yeah, $1,500.
Now, did you actually name the dog?
No, I called him Ibo at that time. No, I didn't name him. Yeah, he was a cute little guy.
How long did you enjoy Ibo?
I had him for a few months, and then and then the novelty wore off. And besides, newer models that came out, like there were like 4 or 5 generations of Ibos after, which kind of put mine to shame, and that's why he basically went in a box. But again, he was one of the original first ones sold in the United States, and so I actually got a little more than what I paid for him from a collector. So that was kind of nice. However, he's since been replaced. We now have 3 live terriers. which you can see on our website at Computer America. You can see them; they're adorable. So we have them, and I'd rather have the live ones. I'd rather have the live one than the robot in this case. But the robot was cute. I was single at the time, and I was in a condo where I couldn't have a dog, and so it was kind of nice. But now things have changed.
You got a robot dog because you couldn't have a real dog?
Yeah, in the condo there was no dogs were allowed. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I thought you just got it to experiment with.
No, and then later on, then they finally changed the ruling in the condo where they would allow people with small dogs. They changed the ruling, but I think that's because a lot of people.
So did you put him on a leash and like walk him around the neighborhood?
No, he never left the apartment. he was an indoor dog. I mean, he'd walk around and lift his leg up, and you would hear a sound, but it was just virtual. You know?
leave little batteries behind him or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
The little tiny watch batteries.
yeah. Now I have three of the real things. You know, and they're cute.
Don't you wish if they go to an area and lift their leg up, that would be virtual as well?
Yeah, that's you wish so, but they're housebroken for the most part. So you know.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the once in a while they have an accident. For the most
No dog is ever completely housebroken.
We say about children.
Yeah, that's very true. So let's see what this leaves us here. We want, when we were talking to Windows, I wanted to mention there was a new, a rumored new $199 to $249.
Are you on Amazon?
Windows PC and how they might compete with the Chromebook sales.
In fact, I think it's even past the rumored stage that you're going to see HP and a couple of other companies come out with very cheap $199, $249 Windows PCs under special licensing for Microsoft. Essentially, Microsoft's going to be giving them Windows for free to do this. That will be, Chromebook type ergonomics, 11-inch, 12-inch screens, chiclet keyboards, that sort of thing. And specifically because Microsoft is worried about Chromebooks. Google is just eating Microsoft's lunch in the education market. The education market especially has been going after Chromebooks like nothing. And so Microsoft's going to try and get some of that back. And this will be interesting because Chromebooks, the new generation of Chromebooks, are actually more expensive than the old generation. I'm not sure there's a $199 Chromebook anymore in the what is it, fifth generation? I think it is. That's out now. So Chromebooks have been going up in price, and then Microsoft's going to come out, or Microsoft's partners are going to come out with the cheaper, Windows PCs.
Didn't Apple used to rule though in the educational market years ago? And
if you count tablets in the education market, they still do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The education market has gone to tablets and Chromebooks and away from full-end PCs or full-end Macs. I mean, my two of my grandkids are in a school district here in Minnesota where they give all the kids iPads. You can take them home if you're in third grade and above. Below that, you got to leave them at school. But that's a big technology investment and a really big deal. I mean, Apple is still huge in the education market, but it's doing it with tablets now.
Really? Yeah, I remember when the Apple II was king, and Apple II ruled in schools everywhere. The Apple II E and the II Plus and the IIc. But that was in the 80s, So things change.
Hey, Craig.
Yes. Yeah.
You were wrong. You were wrong. The internet is back on 8 minutes before the end of the show.
Oh, okay. So why don't you join us in the Hangouts? Go ahead and join us in the Hangouts.
Does that matter? Okay,
yeah.
Fine.
We'll get time. You do it. You go ahead.
Hold on. Find my computer.
He's got to find his computer.
Yeah, and if you had a Chromebook, you'd have it fired up immediately. That's one of the things I love about those things. They're very, very fast. Fast.
Yeah, the MacBook Air.
Okay, well that's fast too. Okay.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, excuse me. If you have the choice between a full-blown relatively full-blown Windows PC at $199, $249, and a Chromebook, which has got to be connected to the internet to use, which would you choose? I mean, some people choose Chromebooks because it's not Windows. I mean, you don't have all the Windows baggage, you don't have all the Windows startup time and all the Windows malware and all this. I mean, that's another advantage of Chromebooks. On the other hand, if you got a Windows PC, well, you can run Office, you can run Photoshop, you can run all this other stuff too. It'll be interesting to watch because it may not just be price that's been driving the Chromebook thing. I think it's primarily price, but it may not just be price that's driving the Chromebook thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
The Chromebook thing was if you're just always connected and everything you do is on Facebook and everything else, then Chromebooks are sufficient. They're what you can use or what you might need. Connect internet, okay. Or they're what you can use, and they used to be because they were cheap. Now you got them because they're cool and there are fanboys out there, and there's a lot of things you can do with them. You still have to be connected to the internet to do anything of value with it. Like our salespeople have Chromebooks, and all of them come with built-in 4G, so they can, if there is no internet, they can just turn those things on, and there you go. You know, it's for the person whose life exists online, who's got to be connected. It's not for the airplane, you know, the writer on the road who just wants to bang out the next American novel. It's not for the graphic designer, and it's not for, you know, the mild gamer. You know, these are basically overglorified tablets, in my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. It's like a tablet with a keyboard. I think that's really who they're competing against. I mean, yeah, they're put in the same category as, you know, a small notebook, but really it does everything. It has all the benefits and all the drawbacks of a tablet, plus it has a keyboard. That's what a Chromebook is.
Exactly. Hey, listen, gentlemen, the weekend is upon us, and now, anybody, I don't know, Mike, I don't know if I asked you, are you a movie buff? Do you like going to movies?
When I was younger and had more time and more money and fewer grandkids, yes. Now my weekends are, where do the kids have to go? Where are we driving them? What are we doing today?
All right. So no movies for you then, okay?
Now, if I can get a half-hour TV show in, I'm doing real good.
Oh gosh, okay. Well, the two big ones coming out this weekend are Lucy and Hercules. So, do you at least know what the movies are about? I don't know. Do you at least keep up with that, Mike?
A movie is like a really long TV show, right? Without commercials that they show on this big screen out over the mall. That's what a movie is.
There you go. Okay. Hey, Charles is with us in our Hangouts now. You can't see him, but
yay!
Yeah, we can hear him.
Hold on, I'm trying to switch everything back around because it's still set up for my other. There it is.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Okay, well, the last 2 minutes of the show, he made it. That's about it. Well, if you've been following us on the Google Hangouts.
I'm hiding in my dungeon. Oh no!
I know. I can see you hiding in your dungeon. No, you look good. Okay, well, that's it. Well, you know, Mike, I want to stay with us to the end, of course, because we have our after-show video. But I want to thank you for being with us here tonight. Very enlightening, and look forward to having you again with us next month. You'll be on the 29th of August, and we'll have more interesting topics to discuss with you. Coming up on Monday, in the first hour, we're going to have OWC. It's going to hear OWC Larry O'Connor, the CEO of OWC, Other World Computing, is going to be with us. He's on vacation, but he's going to join us for an hour. And I know, Charles, you wanted to be here with that show, so assuming everything is working fine, you'll be with us with OWC.
Actually, you know, that's something else I want to try at some point when we don't have a mission critical show, because now we are no longer Java dependent. I can probably pull this off on my iPad.
All right.
With 4G.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it works. And, of course, coming up, and, of course, in hour 2 will be Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And on Tuesday, we're going to have a special show. We're going to have a repeat Gamer Tuesday show with Raptor. This is going to be very cool. We're going to have online video demos of their newest technology. You don't want to miss that show. That's all coming up on the week. And, of course, get the show reminder. They'll tell you who's going to be in the show for the entire week. Just subscribe to the weekly email newsletter of the show reminder. That wraps it up. Again, thanks to Michael Miller for being with us here. Always a pleasure having you here on the show, Mike. And
always good to be here.
Absolutely. And Charles, I guess we'll see you on Monday with OWC.
Night.
And we're going to be talking about their Thunder Bay 4, and which works faster in software than it does in hardware. Just really, really cool technology. And in the meantime, all of you have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday night. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy.
Or loses the internet.
Seconds.
We'll see you Monday night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
And we are off the air, but we're still on the Hangouts. And so thanks to all of you who are watching the show.
What?
Yeah. What is going on?
Dee was talking to me.
Oh, hi, Dee. All right. So anyway, thanks for watching the show, and have a great weekend. And we will see you on Monday night. Again, thanks again, Mike. Excellent show as always.
Always good to be there.
All right, take care. All right, I'm going to stop the Hangouts. Bye-bye.